안녕하세요. 오늘은 해리포터의 5번째 챕터, 해리포터 첫 번째 책, 마법사의 돌, 소서러스 스톤의 챕터 5, 다이건 앨리 함께 읽어볼 시간이에요. 네, 단어와 표현들 먼저 살펴볼 건데요. wake, oak, waken, swell, swelled, swollen, fly, flew, flown, speed, sped, sped, leap, leapt, leapt, where, were, on. 네, 큰 소리로 함께 뜻을 생각하면서 다시 한번 따라 읽어봐요. wake, oak, waken, swell, swelled, swollen, fly, flew, flown, speed, sped, sped, leap, leapt, leapt, where, were, on. 네, 잘 따라 해봤죠? 네, 뜻과 함께 큰 소리로 따라 읽어보면 불규칙 동사가 어렵게 느껴지지 않을 거예요. 어느새 익숙해져서 네, 헷갈리지 않게 잘 사용할 수 있을 거예요. 큰 소리로 따라하는 거 잊지 마세요. 네, tell의 뜻 3가지 알고 있나요? 우리가 tell you, I tell you, 난 너에게 말할 거야. 뭐 이렇게 할 때 tell의 뜻이 말하다란 뜻인 거 친구들 다 알고 있을 거예요. 그런데 알리다라는 뜻도 있고요. 가장 중요한 3번 뜻, 구별하다라는 뜻이 있어요. 이번에 해리포터의 챕터 5, 다이건 앨리에서도 tell의 3번째 뜻, 구별하다의 뜻이 나와 있어요. 우리 수능 영어 고등학교 3학년 때 보는 수능 영어 시험에 가장 많이 나오는 게 3번 뜻이거든요. 구별하다. 그런데 우리 친구들이 읽는 해리포터 여기에도 나와 있으니까 tell의 뜻 3가지 꼭 기억하는 거 중요하겠죠? 1번 말하다, 2번 알리다, 3번 뜻 구별하다 라는 뜻이 있어요. run의 뜻 3가지도 알아볼게요. 달리다 라는 뜻 친구들 다 알고 있죠? 그런데 물이 흐르다 라는 뜻도 있어요. 그래서 still waters run deep. 잔잔한 물은 깊게 흐른다 이런 말이 있고요. 경영하다, 운영하다 라는 3번 뜻이 또 매우 중요해요. 고등학교 때 수능 영어에서 잘 나오는 뜻인데요. 신기하게 이번 다이건 앨리 챕터 5에서도 3번 뜻 경영하다, 운영하다 라는 뜻으로 쓰였어요. 네, still의 뜻 4가지. 여전히 아직이란 뜻 다 알고 있죠? 그런데 잔잔한 이란 뜻이 있어요. 조금 전에 흐르다 라는 뜻 run을 말할 때 still waters run deep 이란 문장 얘기했잖아요. 그때 still water 잔잔한 물 이런 뜻이에요. 그리고 run 흐르다 deep 깊게 흐른다. 그래서 잔잔한 물은 깊게 흐른다. 조용히 깊은 물이 사실 잔잔하다 라는 뜻이죠. 3번 뜻은 훨씬 이란 뜻이 있고요. 비교급과 함께 쓸 때 있죠. 비교급 강조 표현 5가지 기억나나요? 한번 큰 소리로 말해볼까요? 시작! much, even, still, far, a lot. 한 번 더. much, even, still, far, a lot. 기억나죠? 그리고 문장 맨 앞에 나오면 그러나 라는 뜻으로도 쓰여요. 네, 와, still의 뜻이 4가지나 된다는 거 정말 중요하니까 꼭꼭 기억해 두세요. 네, so 형용사, 부사, that 주어 동사 하면 너무나 형용사 또는 부사해서 주어 동사 하다. 원인과 결과를 나타내는 그런 거예요. 왜 우리가 열심히 공부하면 성적이 잘 나오겠죠? 네, 많이 먹으면 안 날씬하겠죠? 네, 그런 것처럼 우리가 너무나 뭐뭐 하면 그 결과 어떻게 된다라는 표현을 쓸 때 so와 that을 활용해서 사용하고 있어요. 챕터 5, 다이건 앨리에 나온 거 문장 함께 읽어볼까요? Harry scrambled to his feet, so happy that he felt as though a large balloon was swelling inside him. 네, 그런데 so 다음에 that이 생략이 자주 돼요. 왜냐면 so that 너무나 뻔하니까요. that을 생략하기도 해요. 해리는 scramble이라는 건 우리 계란 scramble egg 이런 것도 있는데요. 막 휘젓는다, 긁어 모은다 이런 뜻이 있어요. 해리는 그의 발을 휘젓는다 라는 뜻도 있고 그의 발을 막 모으는 것도 있고 하여튼 scramble 하는 형태로 발을 움직였나 봐요. So happy 너무나 행복해서 그 결과 그는 어땠나요? He felt 느꼈죠? as though는 마치 뭐뭐인 것처럼 as if와 같은 뜻이에요. 마치 뭐뭐인 것처럼 a large balloon 아주 커다란 balloon, 풍선이 was swelling. swelling 어떤 거죠? 네, 부풀어 오르다라는 뜻이요. inside him, 내 안에, 그 안에 부풀어 오르는 것처럼 느꼈다는 거죠. 와, 아니, 뱃속에서 큰 풍선이 부풀어 오르면 어떻게 되나요? 몸이 둥실둥실 떠가는 것 같겠죠? 그래서 so happy that he felt as though a large balloon was swelling inside him. 네, 이 문장 꼭 기억해 주세요. 너무나 형용사 부사해서 그 결과 주어 동사 하다 so that 표현 꼭 기억해 주세요. 네, 아까 런의 세 가지 뜻 했던 거 기억나죠? 챕터 5에 나와 있는 문장 3번 뜻으로 쓰였어요. 정말 신기하게 우리가 해리포터만 열심히 읽어도 고등학교 3학년 때 영어 시험을 잘 볼 수 있을 것 같아요. 정말 신기하죠? 해리포터 너무 재밌는데 정말 재밌게 읽다 보면 어느새 고3 수능 영어까지 쭉쭉 100점을 향해 가니까요. 우리 친구들 끝까지 열심히 재밌게 읽어봐요. Wizards have a bank. 해리가 물어보죠. 해그리드한테. 마법사들이 은행을 가지고 있다고요? 라고 물어보니까 just the one. 하나 있지. 그린고츠라는 은행이 하나 있대요. Run by goblin. 해그리드가 대답을 하는 거죠. Run by goblin. 고블린들에 의해서 run 돼. 여기서 run은 달리다 흐르다 아니겠죠. 운영하다가 되겠죠. 고블린들에 의해서 운영되는 그린고츠라는 은행이, 마법사의 은행이 하나 있대요. 와, 정말 신기하죠? 런의 뜻, 운영하다, 경영하다라는 뜻인 거 꼭 기억해 주세요. 네, 주어, 동사, 목적어, 투부정사, 주어, 동사, 목적어, from, ing. 이럴 때 어떤 뜻이 되는지, 목적어가 동사 원형하게 하는지, 목적어가 ing를 못하게 하는지 이런 문장 구조들 계속해서 나오니까요. 이것도 꼭 기억해 두세요. 네, forbid, 못하게 하다, 금지하다. 이럴 때는 I forbid you to tell the boy anything. 네, 버논 이모부가 했던 말인데요. 다시 한번 복습으로 가져와 봤어요. 네, 띵으로 끝나는 단어, 명사, 다음에 형용사가 뒤에 온다는 거. 단어의 순서 조심하라고 했는데요. 챕터 5에도 나왔어요. 어떤 표현이 나왔냐면 something 하고 something really extraordinary가 나왔네요. something 어떤 게 있는데 really 매우 extraordinary는 평범하지 않은 그런 뜻이죠. 매우 정말 extraordinary. ordinary는 평범한인데 extra니까 평범함을 넘어선 거죠. 그러니까 평범하지 않은 이런 뜻이 되겠죠. 띵으로 끝나는 명사 something, anything, everything 이런 단어 다음에는 형용사가 뒤에 나온다는 거 다시 한번 복습해 봤어요. leather, 가죽이란 뜻이죠. pay for, 지불하다, 돈을 내다. except, 무엇을 제외하고 너만 빼고 갈 거야. except you. 이렇게 말하면 안 되겠죠? mention, 말하다, 언급하다라는 뜻이요. 우리가 say하고 tell만 알고 있지만 mention, don't mention it. 그거에 대해서 더 이상 말하지 마세요. Don't mention it anymore. 더 이상 말하지 마세요. 말하지 마. Don't mention it. 이렇게 말할 수 있겠죠. 말하다, 언급하다. Don't tell me, don't say 이거랑 다르게 don't mention은 뭔가 좀 더 언급하는 그런 강한 느낌이 있어요. 그래서 mention이 말하다, 언급하다라는 뜻인 거 꼭 기억해 주시고요. spell은 우리가 스펠링이 맞나 이러죠. 맞춤법, 철자법이라고 하는데요. 여기 해리포터에서는 spell 하면 주문을 걸다, 주문 이런 뜻이 쓰였어요. 네, 주문을 걸다, spell. 그리고 enchantment는 굉장히 황홀한 상태인데요. 여기에서 마법에 걸린 상태라고 쓰였더라고요. enchantment. 네, 그리고 가짜 목적어 it과 진짜 목적어 that 주어 동사에 대해서 한번 살펴볼게요. 네, 저랑 같은 성씨죠. 가시성을 가졌네요. 네, 가주어나 가목적어는 항상 it을 쓰고요. 진주어나 진목적어는 투부정사나 대절을 써요. 이번에는 투부정사가 아니라 대주어 동사를 쓴 그런 문장이 나왔더라고요. 챕터 5에 나온 문장 함께 큰 소리로 읽어보고 꼭 기억해봐요. Well, their main job is to keep it from the muggles that there are still witches and wizards up and down the country. 네, 해그리드가 말하는 거여가지고 해그리드가 말하는 문장은 좀 읽기가 힘들어요. 왜냐면 해그리드가 학교 다니다 expel 퇴학당했죠. 쫓겨났고 좀 공부를 열심히 안 한 그런 등장인물이기 때문에 말을 좀 할 때 좀 어눌하게 하고 문법을 막 틀리게 말해서 and wizard of N 해야 되는데 wizard 이렇게 말을 하나 봐요. 네. 뭐 영화에서 보면 해그리드 말투가 있겠죠? 전 영화를 안 봐서 잘 모르겠는데 네. 하여튼 해그리드의 말투가 굉장히 독특해요. 그래서 해그리드 대사를 읽을 때는 좀 힘들더라고요. 네, 어쨌든 well, their main job is to keep it. 네, 그들의 주요 업무는 무엇이냐면요. keep 하는 거예요. keep from은요. 멀리 떨어뜨리는 거, 못하게 하는 그런 거예요. 그것을, 먹을로부터 그것을 못하게 하는 거죠. 그게 뭐냐면요. that 밑에 쭉 밑줄 친 부분이 그 it에 대한 내용이에요. 그게 뭐냐면 there is, there are 무엇이 있다는 뜻이죠. there is still 여전히 witches and wizards 마녀와 마법사들이 있다라는 거를 up and down the country country에 up and down 나라 위야 아래 하니까 이제 마법사들 위로 날아다닐 수도 있고 뭐 밑에도 있을 수 있고 하니까 나라 전체라는 표현을 all over the world, all over the country라고 하지 않고 일부러 재밌게 up and down country라고 한 것 같아요. 막 빗자루를 타고 날아다니는 마녀 마법사들을 네, 생각하면서 만든 문장인 것 같아요. 정말 주엔 작가님은 너무 대단하신 것 같아요. 상상력 짱이시죠? 네, 우리에게 상상력이 가장 중요한 것 같아요. 그 무엇보다 네, 해리포터 읽으면 읽을수록 상상력의 힘에 대해서 네, 더 알게 되는 것 같아요. 우리 모두 즐거운 상상, 재미있는 상상을 하면서 하루하루 보내도록 해요. 네, 가목적어 it, 진목적어 that 주어 동사 꼭 기억해 두세요. about에 관한 뜻 두 가지도 알려드릴게요. 무엇에 관하여 라는 뜻 잘 알고 있죠? 그런데 숫자와 함께 쓸 때는 대략, 약 이런 뜻이에요. Harry wished he had about 8 more eyes. 이제 다이건 엘리에 갔을 때 이제 엘리라는 곳이 어떤 골목이란 뜻이에요. 골목이나 복도 이런 뜻인데요. 현실 세계가 아닌 그 마법사들의 세계, 그러니까 머글들의 세계, 우리 인간들의 세계가 아니라 마법 세상으로 건너가죠. 해그리드가 우산으로 탁탁탁 벽돌을 쳐서 건너가는데 그때 나타난 곳이 다이건 엘리예요. 그 골목인데요. 거기에 도착해갖고 완전 눈이 휘둥그레진 거죠. 해리는 너무 신기한 게 많은 거죠. 그래서 해리가 이제 소원을 이랬으면 좋겠다라고 희망을 한 거죠. 뭘 희망했냐면요. about 대략 한 8개 정도 8 more eye 눈이 8개 정도 있으면 좋겠다라고 했죠. 해리는 사실 눈이 2개죠. 물론 안경을 썼으니까 눈이 4개다 이렇게 농담을 하는데 네, 눈은 2개죠. 우리의 눈은 2개인데 해리가 너무너무 볼 게 많아가지고 신기해서 두리번 하다가 네, 한 말이에요. 그런데 위시는요, 사실 현실적으로 좀 어려운 것들을 했어요. 그래서 8개의 눈을 가지는 거 인간에게 현실적으로는 좀 어렵잖아요. 그래서 호프가 아니라 희망하다 호프가 아니라 네, 소원하다 wished를 쓴 거예요. Harry wished he had about 8 more eyes. about의 두 번째 뜻 숫자와 함께 쓸 때 대략, 약이라는 거 꼭 기억해 두세요. 네, may as well, might as well 동사 원형이 나오면요. 뭐 하는 게 낫겠다 라는 뜻이에요. 지금 잠깐만 시간이 좀 애매하니까 일단 밥을 먹고 공부하는 게 낫겠다 뭐 이럴 수 있잖아요. 그럴 때 may as well 뭐 하는 게 낫겠다. 아니면 배가 고파서 공부를 너무 못할 것 같으니까 일단 간식을 먹고 공부를 하는 게 어떨까 뭐 하는 게 낫겠다 이럴 때 쓰겠죠. 그리고 hag는 뭐냐면요. 마귀할멈이란 뜻이에요. hag, 마귀할멈. out of sight는 sight가 본다라는 뜻이죠. 보이지 않는, out of를 쓰면 보이지 않는 이란 뜻이에요. 그리고 스택은 더미, 뭐가 싼더미 같이 쌓여져 있는 그런 덤이고요. 콜드런은 항아리예요. 마법사들이 커다란 항아리에 여러 가지 약재를 넣고 주문을 외우죠. 수리 마수리 우리 땐 그랬는데요. 네, 콜드런은 항아리예요. 좀 커다란 항아리. 마법학교 호그와트에 입학하려면 꼭 필요한 준비물 중에 하나였죠. 콜드런 항아리. 더 비교급 비교급과 더 비교급이 함께 나올 때요. 뭐뭐 하면 할수록 더욱 뭐뭐 하다. 굉장히 강조하는 표현이에요. The more ones, WAND는 지팡이죠. 마법사에게 가장 중요한 건 지팡이겠죠. 그리고 1학년 학생들에게는 마법 빗자루를 허용하지 않는다고 그런 편지에 나와 있었어요. 아직 1학년은 신입생이니까 마법 빗자루 타고 다니다가 떨어지고 그런 곤란하니까 그런가요? 브룸스틱, 마법 빗자루는 아직 안 되고 그렇지만 지팡이는 마법사 지팡이는 꼭 필요한 거예요. 해그리드는 지팡이 대신에 핑크 엄브렐라 우산을 들고 다니죠. 네, 남자는 핑크인가요? 네, 해그리드 덩치 안 어울리는 핑크빛 우산 생각만 해도 너무 재미있는 것 같아요. The more ones Mr. Ollivander, the more ones Mr. Ollivander pulled from the shelf, the happier he seemed to become. The more ones, 더 많은 지팡이들을 pull from shelf, shelf는 찬장이죠. 찬장에서 더 많이 꺼낼수록 올리벤더 씨는 지팡이, 마법사 지팡이 가게 주인 아저씨죠. 주인이시면서 가게 이름도 올리벤더예요. 네. 제가 운영했던 서점이 가연정 북수인데요. 제 이름을 간판에 써서 가게를 하는 것처럼 올리벤더 주인 아저씨가 운영하는 올리벤더 상점에 지팡이를 사러 갔을 때 이야기죠. The more one, 더 많은 지팡이들이 이제 찬장에서 미스터 올리벤더가 계속 꺼내서 이 지팡이가 어울릴까 저 지팡이가 어울릴까 하는데 지팡이가 마법사를 선택한대요. 오, 신기하죠? 사람이 물건을 선택하는 게 아니라 마법사가 지팡이를 선택하는 게 아니라 지팡이가 마법사랑 딱 이렇게 해가지고 지팡이를 꺼냈는데 마법사를 선택을 해줘야 그 지팡이가 이제 해리께 되는 거예요. 그래서 해리한테 이 지팡이 저 지팡이를 다 꺼내봤는데 다 맞지가 않는 거예요. 그래서 계속해서 꺼내죠. 계속해서 꺼내면 상점 주인인 올리벤더 씨는 좀 귀찮고 번거로울 만도 한데 오히려 더 막 즐거워하는 거예요. 더 행복한데요. The happier he seemed to become. 더 행복한 것처럼 보였다라는 거죠. 네, 얼마나 대단한 지팡이가 되려고 그러는 거지? 라고 올리벤더 사장님이 그렇게 생각해서 기뻤나 봐요. 더 비교급, 뭐뭐 하면 할수록 더욱 뭐뭐하다. 글을 쓴 사람이 강조할 때 쓰는 표현이니까요. 꼭 기억해 두세요. 네, 지금까지 단어와 표현들 살펴봤는데요. chapter 5는 다이애건 앨리라고 했죠. 사람들의 세상에서 이제 마법사의 세상으로 마법 세계로 건너가는 그런 장면이기 때문에 정말 신기한 단어들과 표현들이 매우 많이 나와요. 그리고 그 마법 세계의 그 쇼핑 거리죠. 그 상점들은 정말 되게 잘 묘사를 한 거예요. 그래서 정말 조엔 작가님이 정말 대단하시다. 이렇게 하나하나 세밀하게 마법 세상을 잘 꾸며놨다는 게 너무 대단한 것 같아요. 사실 좋은 소설은 정말 현실에 있는 것처럼 진짜인 것처럼 느껴지도록 꾸며내는 게 굉장히 중요하거든요. 그래서 조엔 작가님이 챕터 5가 분량이 엄청 많은 이유는 꼼꼼하게 마법 세계가 마치 진짜 있는 것처럼 우리 친구들이 느껴지도록 하기 위해서 여러 가지 다양한 장면들을 묘사해 놨더라고요. 네, 그럼 read after me 큰 소리로 저를 함께 따라 읽어볼 시간 함께 가질게요. 그리고 제가 항상 강조하는 거 한 번 더 이야기하고 read after me 할게요. Worrying is to create what you don't want. Enjoying is to create what you want. 네, 걱정하는 건 여러분이 원하지 않는 걸 만들어내죠. 그리고 enjoying 뭐죠? 즐겁게 하는 건 여러분이 원하는 걸 만들어내는 방법이에요. 그래서 우리가 걱정하는 거 대신 뭘 해야 되죠? worrying 대신엔 enjoying을 해야 되죠. 해리포터를 즐겁게 읽는 시간 enjoying 해리포터를 하면 enjoy reading 해리포터를 하면은 어떻게 될까요? 네, 영어 잘할 수 있을까? 영어 시험 걱정돼 라고 할 필요가 없다는 거죠. 그래서 영어 시험 걱정하지 말고 해리포터를 즐겁게 읽도록 해요. 그러면 정말 영어 성적도 쑥쑥 올라가 있을 거예요. 네, 지금까지 제 이야기 생각해봤고요. Read after me, speak loudly. 그럼 큰 소리로 함께 따라 읽어볼까요? Chapter 5 Diagon Alley Harry woke early the next morning, although he could tell it was daylight. He kept his eyes shut tight. It was a dream, he told himself firmly. I dreamed a giant called Hagrid came to tell me I was going to a school for wizards. When I open my eyes, I'll be at home in my cupboard. There was suddenly a loud tapping noise, and there's Aunt Petunia knocking on the door. Harry thought, his heart sinking, but he still didn't open his eye. It had been such a good dream. Tap, tap, tap. All right, Harry mumbled. I'm getting up. He sat up and Hagrid's heavy coat fell off him. The hut was full of sunlight. The storm was over. Hagrid himself was asleep on the collapsed sofa, and there was an owl rapping its claw on the window, a newspaper held in its beak. Harry scrambled to his feet, so happy he felt as though a large balloon was swelling inside him. He went straight to the window and jerked it open. The owl swooped in and dropped the newspaper on top of Hagrid, who didn't wake up. The owl then fluttered onto the floor and began to attack Hagrid's coat. Don't do that! Harry tried to wave the owl out of the way, but it snapped its beak fiercely at him and carried on savaging the coat. Hagrid, said Harry loudly. There's an owl. Pay him. Hagrid grunted into the sofa. What? He wants paying for delivering the paper. Look in the pockets. Hagrid's coat seemed to be made of nothing but pockets, bunches of keys, slug pellet, balls of string, peppermint hammer, tea bags. Finally, Harry pulled out a handful of strange-looking coins. Give him 5 knots, said Hagrid sleepily. Knots? The little bronze ones. Harry counted out 5 little bronze coins, and the owl held out his leg, so Harry could put the money into a small leather pouch tied to it. Then he flew up through the open window. Hagrid yawned loudly, sat up, and stretched. Best be off, Harry. Last today. Gotta get up to London and buy all your stuff for school. Harry was turning over the wizard coins and looking at them. He had just thought of something that made him feel as though the happy balloon inside him had got a puncture. Hagrid? Said Hagrid, who was pulling on his huge boots. I haven't got any money, and you heard Uncle Boner last night. He won't pay for me to go and learn magic. Don't worry about that, said Hagrid, standing up, scratching his head. Do you think your parents didn't leave you anything? But if their house was destroyed, they didn't keep their gold in the house. Boy, no, first step first is green gold with a bank. Have associates, they are not bad cold. And I wouldn't say not a bit of your birthday cake neither. Wizards have pranks? Just the one, green gold, done by goblin. Harry dropped the bit of sausage he was holding. Goblin? Yeah, so you'd be met the Trojan rabbit, I tell ya. Never mess with the goblin. Harry, Gringold is the safest place in the world for anything you want to keep safe. Except maybe Hogwarts. As a matter of fact, I got a bit Gringotts anyway for Dumbledore Hogwarts business. Harry drew himself up proudly. He usually gets me to the important stuff for him. Betting you getting things from Gringotts. No, he can trust me, see. Got everything? Come on then. Harry followed Hagrid out onto the rock. The sky was quite clear now and the sea gleamed in the sunlight. The boat Uncle Vernon had hired was still there, with a lot of water in the bottom after the storm. How did you get here? Harry asked, looking around for another boat. Blue, said Hagrid. Blue? Yeah, but we'll go back in this. Not supposed to use magic now I've got ya. They settled down in the boat, Harry still staring at Hagrid, trying to imagine him flying. Seems the same to now, though, said Hagrid, giving Harry another his sideways look. If I was to speed things up a bit, would you mind not mention it at Hogwarts? Of course not, said Harry. Eager to see more magic, Hagrid pulled out the pink umbrella again, tapped it twice on the side of the boat, and they sped up toward land. Why would you be mad to try rock Gringotts? Harry asked. Spare enhancement, said Hagrid, unfolding his newspaper as he spoke. They say they're dangerous guardian, the highest secret bird. And then you're going to find your way. Gringotts is hundreds of miles under London. See, deep underground, you died of hunger trying to get out, even if you did manage to get your hands on some. Harry sat and thought about this while Hagrid read his newspaper. The Daily Prophet. Harry had learned from Uncle Vernon that people like to be left alone while they did this, but it was very difficult. He never had so many questions in his life. Ministry of Magic lesson things over as usual, Hagrid muttered, turning the page. There's a Ministry of Magic? Harry asked, before he could stop himself. Of course, said Harry. They wanted Dumbledore for Minister, of course, but he never left Hogwarts, so old Cornelius Goose got the job. Dumbledore, if ever there was one, so he felt Dumbledore with owl every morning asking for advice. But what does the Ministry of Magic do? Well, their main job is to keep it from the muggle that there are still witches and wizards up and down the country. Why? Why? Grimly. Harry, everyone be wanting magic solution to their problem. Yeah, we are best left alone. At this moment, the boat bumped gently into the harbor wall. Hagrid folded up his newspaper, and they clambered up the stone step onto the street. Passersby stared a lot at Hagrid as they walked through the little town to the station. Harry couldn't blame them. Not only was Hagrid twice as tall as anyone else, he kept pointing at perfectly ordinary things like parking meters and saying loudly, "See that, Harry! Things these muggers dream of, eh?" "Hagrid," said Harry, panting a bit as he ran to keep up. "Did you say they're the dangerous at Gringotts?" "Well, so they say," said Harry. "Crikey, I'd like dragon." "You'd like one?" "Wanted one ever since I was a kid. Here we go." They had reached the station. There was a train to London in 5 minutes' time. Hagrid, who didn't understand muggle money, as he called it, gave the bills to Harry so he could buy their ticket. People stared more than ever on the train. Hagrid looked up 2 seats and sat knitting what looked like a canary yellow circle stand. "Still got your letter, Harry?" he asked as he counted steps. Harry took the parchment envelope out of his pocket. "Good," said Hagrid. "There's a list there of everything you'll need." Harry unfolded the second piece of paper he hadn't noticed the night before and read, "Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry Uniform. First year students will require 1. 3 sets of plain work gloves. 2. One plain pointed hat, black, for their wear. 3. One pair of protective gloves, dragon hide or similar. 4. One winter cloak, black silver fastening. Please note that all pupils' clothes should carry name tags. Course books. All students should have a copy of each of the following: the Standard Book of Spell, Grade 1 by Miranda Goldschagg, A History of Magic by Bathilda Buckshot, Magical Theory by Albert L. Buffling, A Beginner's Guide to Transfigurating by Emmerich Switch, 1000 Magical Herbs and Fungi by Philadia Spore, Magical Drop and Potions by Arsenius Jigger, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by Newt Scammer, The Dark Forces, A Guide to Self-Protection by Quentin Trimble. Other equipment: 1 wand, 1 cauldron, pewter standard size 2, 1 set of glass of crystal fire, 1 telescope set, 1 brass scale. Students may also bring an owl or a cat or a toad. Parents reminded that first years are not allowed their own broomsticks. Can we buy all this in London? Harry wondered aloud. If you know where to go, said Hagrid. Harry had never been to London before, although Hagrid seemed to know where he was going. He was obviously not used to getting there in ordinary way. He got stuck in the ticket barrier on the ground and complained loudly that seats were too small and trains too slow. I don't know how the muggles managed the magic, he said as they climbed a broken-down escalator that led up to a bustling road lined with shops. Hagrid was so huge that he parried the crowd easily. All Harry had to do was keep close behind him. They passed back bookshop and music store, hamburger restaurant, and cinema, but nowhere that looked as if it could sell you a magic wand. This was just an ordinary street full of ordinary people. Could there really be piles of wizard gold berries marked beneath them? Were there really shops that sold spell books and broomsticks? Might this not all be same huge joke that Dursley had cooked up? If Harry hadn't known that Dursley had no sense of humor, he might have thought so, knew somehow, even though everything Hagrid had told him so far was unbelievable. Harry couldn't help trusting him. This is it, said Hagrid, coming to a halt. The Leaky Cauldron. It was a famous place. It was a tiny, grubby-looking pub. If Hagrid hadn't pointed out, Harry wouldn't have noticed it was there. The people hurrying by didn't glance at it. Their eyes slid from the big bookshop on the side to the record shop on the other, as if they couldn't see the leaky cauldron at all. In fact, Harry had the most peculiar feeling that only he had Hagrid could see it. Before he could mention this, Hagrid had steered him inside. For a famous place, it was very dark and shabby. A few old women were sitting in a corner, drinking tiny glasses of sherry. One of them was smoking a long pipe. A little man in a top hat was talking to the old bartender, who was quite old and looked like a toothless warlock. The low buzz of chatter stopped when they walked in. Everyone seemed to know Hagrid. They waved and smiled at him. And the bartender reached for a glass, saying, "The usual Hagrid?" "Ken Tom, I'm on Hogwarts business," said Hagrid, clapping his great hand on Harry's shoulder and making Harry's knees buckle. "Good Lord," said the bartender, peering at Harry. Can this be?" The liquor drum had suddenly gone completely still and silent. "Bless my soul," whispered the old bartender. "Harry Potter, what an honor!" He hurried out from behind the bar, rushed toward Harry and seized his hand, tears in his eyes. "Welcome back, Mr. Potter, welcome back!" Harry didn't know what to say. Everyone was looking at him. The old woman with the pipe was puffing on it without realizing it had gone out. Hagrid was beaming. Then there was a great scraping of chairs, and the next moment Harry found himself shaking hands with everyone in the leaky cauldron. Doris called, "Mr. Potter, can't believe I'm meeting you at last. So proud, Mr. Potter, I'm just so proud. All age wanted to shake your hand. I'm all aflutter." "Delighted, Mr. Potter. Just can't tell you. Diggle's the name. Daedalus Diggle." "I haven't seen you before," said Harry, as Daedalus Diggle's top hat fell off his excitement. "You bowed to me once in a shop." "He remembers!" cried Daedalus Diggle, looking around at everyone. "Did you hear that? He remembers me!" Harry shook hands again and again. Doris Crawford kept coming back for more. A pale young man made his way forward, very nervous, one of his eyes and twitching. "Professor Quirrell," said Hagrid. Harry, Professor Quirrell will be one of your teachers at Hogwarts." "Potter?" stammered Professor Quirrell, grasping Harry's hand. "Can tell you how pleased I am to meet you." "What sort of magic do you teach, Professor Quirrell?" "The defense against the dark arts," muttered Professor Quirrell, as though he'd rather not think about it. Not that new.
Potter? He laughed nervous. We'll be getting all your equipment, I suppose. I've got to pick up new book on vampire myself. He looked terrified at the very thought. But the others wouldn't let Professor Potter keep Harry to himself. It took almost 10 minutes to get away from them all. At last, Hagrid managed to make himself heard over the babble. Must get on, last boy. Come on, Harry. Doris Cockford shook Harry's hand one last time, and Hagrid led them through the bar and out into a small walled courtyard, where there was nothing but a trash can and a few weeds. Hagrid grinned at Harry. Told ya, didn't I? Told ya you was famous. Even Professor Potter was trembling to meet ya. Mind you, he's usually trembling. Is he always that nervous? Oh yeah, poor bloke. Brilliant mind. He was fine while he was studying out the books, but then he took a year off to get some first-hand experience. They say he met a vampire in the Black Forest, and there was a nasty bit of trouble with the head. Never been the same since. Scared of the students, scared of his own subject. Now where's me umbrella? Vampires? Haggis? Harry's head was swimming. Hagrid meanwhile was counting bricks in the wall above the trash can. 3 up, 2 across, he muttered. Right, stand back, Harry. He tapped the wall 3 times with the point of his umbrella. The brick he had touched quivered. It wriggled. In the middle, a small hole appeared. It grew wider and wider. A second later, they were facing an archway large enough even for Hagrid. An arch onto a cobbled street that twisted a turn out of sight. Welcome, said Harry, to Diagon Alley. He grinned at Harry's amazement. They stepped through the archway. Harry looked quickly over his shoulder and saw the archway shrink instantly back into solid wall. The sun shone brightly on a stack of cauldron outside the nearest shop. Cauldron all side, copper, brass, peter, silver, self-storing. Collapses said the sign hanging over them. Yeah, you will be need one, said Harry. But we gotta get your money first. Harry wished he had about 8 more eyes. He turned his head in every direction as they walked up the street, trying to look at everything at once, the shop, the thing outside them, the people doing their shopping. A plump woman outside the portal was shaking her head as they passed, saying, Dragon liver, 17 chocolate ons, they are mad. A loud soft hooning came from a dark shop with a sign saying, Elapsed all Emporium, Tawny, Sweet, Brown, Brown, and Snowy. Several boys of about Harry's age had their nose pressed against the window with broomsticks in it. Look, Harry heard one of them say, the new Nimbus 2000. Bestest ever. There was shop selling rope, shop selling telescope, and strange silver instruments. Harry had never seen before windows decked with barrels of bat screens and ears, eyes, tottering piles of spell books, quills, and rolls of parchment, potion powders, gloves of the moon. Green ghosts, said Harry. They had reached a snowy white building that towered over the other little shop. Standing beside it, burnished bronze door, wearing a uniform of scarlet and gold, was. Yeah, that's a goblin, said Hagrid quietly as they walked up the white stones that towered him. The goblin was about a head shorter than Harry. He had a swarthy, clever face, a pointed beard, and Harry noticed very long fingers and feet. He bowed as they walked inside. Now they were facing a second pair of doors, silver this time, with words engraved upon them. Enter stranger, but decade of what awaits the sin of grief. For those who take but do not earn, must pay most dearly in their turns. So if you stick beneath our floor a treasure that was never yours, thief, you have been warned, beware of finding more than treasure here, there. Like I said, you'd be mad to try and rob it, said Hagrid. A pair of goblins bowed them through the silver doors, and they were in a vast marble hall. About 100 more goblins were sitting on high stools behind a long counter, scribbling on in large letters, weighing coins in brass scales, examining precious stones through eyeglasses. There were too many doors to count reading off the wall, and yet more goblins were showing people in and out of this. Hagrid and Harry made for the counter. "Morning," said Hagrid to a free goblin. "We've come to take some money out of Mr. Harry Potter's safe. You have this key, sir." "Got it here somewhere," said Hagrid, and he started emptying his pocket onto the counter, scattering a handful molded up biscuit over the goblin's book of numbers. The goblin wrinkled his nose. Harry watched the goblin on their right weighing a pile of rubies as big as glowing coal. "Got it," said Hagrid at last, holding up a tiny golden key. The goblin looked at it closely. "That seems to be in order. And I've also got a letter here from Professor Dumbledore," said Hagrid importantly, drawing out his chest. "It's about you-know-what in book 713. The goblin read the letter carefully. "Very well," he said, handing it back to Hagrid. "I'll have someone take you down to Bosford. Griphook." Griphook was yet another goblin. Once Hagrid had crammed all the dog biscuits back inside his pocket, he and Harry followed Griphook toward one of the doors leading up the hall. "What's the you-know-what in book 713? Harry asked. "Can't tell you that," said Hagrid mysterious. "Very secret, Hogwarts business. Dumbledore trusts me. More my job was to tell you that." Griphook held the door open for them. Harry, who had expected more marble, was surprised. They were in a narrow stone passageway, lit with flaming torches. It sloped steeply downward, and there was a little railway tracks on the floor. Griphook whistled, and a small cart came hurtling up the tracks toward them. They climbed in, Hagrid with some difficulty, and were off. At first they just hurtled through a maze of twisting passages. Harry tried to remember left, right, left, middle, fork, right, left, but it was impossible. The rattling car seemed to know its own way because Griphook wasn't steering. Harry's eyes stung as the cold air rushed past them, but he kept them wide open. Once he saw a burst of fire at the end of the passage and twisted around, see if it was a dragon, but too late. They plunged even deeper, passing an underground lake where huge stalactites and stalagmites grew from the ceiling and floor. "I never know," Harry called Hagrid over the noise of the cart. "What's the difference between stalagmite and stalactite?" "Stalagmite got an M in it," said Hagrid. "And don't ask me questions just now. I'm thinking I'm gonna be sick." He didn't look very green, and when the cart stopped at last beside a small door in the passage wall, Hagrid got out and had to lean against the wall to stop his knees from trembling. Griphook unlocked the door. A lot of green smoke came billowing out, and it's clear, Harry gasped. Inside were mounds of gold coins, columns of silver, heaps of little bronze knots. "All yours," smiled Hagrid. "All Harry's. It was incredible. The Dursley couldn't have known about this, or they have had it coming faster than blinking." How often had they complained how much Harry cost them to keep, and all the time there had been a small fortune belonging to him buried deep under London. Hagrid had Harry pile some of it into a bag. "The gold was a gallon," he explained. 17 silver sickles to a gallon and 29 knots to a sickle. It is enough. Right, that should be enough for A couple of times will keep the rest safe for ya. He turned to Grippo. We're 730 now. Please, can we go more slowly? One speed only, said Grippo. They were going even deeper now and gathering speed. The air became colder and colder as they hurtled Mount Typhoner. They went rattling over an underground ravine. And Harry leaned over the side to try to see what was down at the dark bottom, but Hagrid groaned and pulled him back by the scruff of his neck. Vault 713 had no keyhole. Stand back, said Grifo importantly. He stroked the door gently with one of his long fingers and it simply melted away. If anyone but a Gringotts goblin tried that, they'd be sucked through the door and trapped in there, said Grifo. How often do you check to see if anyone inside? Harry asked. About once every 10 years, said Grifo with a rather nasty grin. Something really extraordinary had to be inside this top security vault. Harry was secure and he leaned forward eagerly, expecting to see fabulous jewels at the very least, but at first he thought it was empty. Then he noticed a grubby little package wrapped of brown paper lying on the floor. Hagrid picked it up and tucked it deep inside his coat. Harry longed to know what it was, but knew better than to ask. Come on, back in this infernal hut. Don't talk to me on the way back. It's best if I keep my mouth shut, said Harry. One wild cart ride later, they stood blinking in the sunlight outside Gringo. Harry didn't know where to run first now that he had a bag full of money. He didn't have to know how many gallons there were to a pound to know that he was holding more money than he had in his whole life, more money than even Dudley had ever had. Might as well get your uniform, said Harry, nodding toward Madame Mackin's room for all occasions. Listen, Harry, would you mind if I slip a cloak picking up the liquor drum? I hate them, Gringotts coughed. He did still look a bit sick, so Harry entered Madame Mac's shop alone feeling nervous. Madame Mackin was a squat, smiling witch dressed all in mauve. Hogwarts, dear, she said, when Harry started to speak, but a lot here. Another young man being fitted up just now, in fact. In the back of the shop, a boy with a pale, pointed face was standing a footstool, while a second with which pinned up his long black robe. Madame Martin stood Harry on a stool next to him, slipped a long robe over his head, and began to pin it up two right flanks. Hello, said the boy. Hogwarts too? Yes, says Harry. My father's next door buying my books, and mother's up the street looking at one, said the boy. He had a bold, drawling voice. Then I'm going to drag them off to Took-Ed racing broom. I don't see why first year can't have their own. I think I'll bully father into getting me one, and I'll smuggle it in somehow. Harry was strongly reminded of Dudley. Have you got your own broom? The boy went on. No, said Harry. Play Quidditch at all? No, Harry said again, wondering what on earth Quidditch could be. I do. Father said it's a crime if I'm not picked to play for my house, and I must say I agree. No, what else you will be in bed? Yeah, no, said Harry, feeling more stupid by the minute. Well, no one really knows until they get there, do they? But I know I've been Slytherin. All our family have been. Imagine being in Hufflepuff. I believe, wouldn't ya? Said Harry, wishing he could say something a bit more interesting. I say, look at the man, said the boy suddenly, nodding toward the front window. Hagrid was standing there, grinning at Harry and pointing at two large ice creams to show he couldn't come in. That's Hagrid, said Harry, pleased to know something the boy didn't. He works at Hogwarts. Oh, said the boy, I've heard of him. He's a sort of servant, isn't he? He's the gamekeeper, said Harry. He was liking the boy less and less every second. Yes, exactly. I heard he's a sort of savage. lives in a hut on the school ground, and every now and then he got drunk, tried to do magic, ends up setting fire to his bed. I think he's brilliant, said Harry coldly. You? Said the boy with a slight sneer. Why is he with you? Where are your parents? They are dead, said Harry shortly. He didn't feel much like going into the matter with his boy. Oh, sorry, said the other, not sounding sorry at all. But they were our kind, weren't they? They were a witch and wizard, if that's what you mean. I really don't think they should let the others sort in, do ya? They are just not the same. They've never been brought up to know our ways. Some of them have never even heard of Hogwarts until they get the letter Imagine. I think they should keep it in the old wizarding family. What's your surname anyway? But before Harry could answer, Madame Mackin said, That's you done, my dear, and Harry, not sorry for an excuse to stop talking to the boy, hopped down from the footstool. Well, I'll see you at Hogwarts, I suppose, said the drawing boy. Harry was rather quiet as he ate the ice cream Hagrid had bought him, chocolate and raspberry with chopped nuts. Watch up, said Harry. Nothing, Harry lied. They stopped to buy parchment and quill. Harry cheered up a bit when he found the bottle of ink that changed color as you wrote. When they had left the shop, he said, Hagrid, what's Quidditch? Blimey, Harry, I keep forgotten how little you know, not knowing about Quidditch. Don't make me feel worse, said Harry. He told Hagrid of a pale boy in Madame Malkin, and he said people from Muggle families shouldn't even be allowed in. You're not from a Muggle family. If he'd known who you are, he was grown up knowing your name. If his parents are wizards, you saw what everyone in the Leaky Control was like when they saw you. Anyway, what does he know about it? Some of the best I ever saw were the only one with magic in them in a long line of muggles. Look at your mom. Look what she had for a sister. So what is Quidditch? It's our sport. Wizard sport. It's like a soccer in the Muggle world. Everyone followed Quidditch, played up in the air on broomsticks, and there's 4 balls. Sorta hard to explain the rule. And what Slytherin and Hufflepuff schoolhouses? There's 4. Everyone says Hufflepuff are a lot of Jupiter's blood. I bet. I'm in Hufflepuff, said Harry gloomily. Better Hufflepuff than Slytherin, said Hagrid darkly. There's not a single witch or wizard who went bad who wasn't in Slytherin. You know who was one. You know who was at Hogwarts? Years on years ago, said Harry. They bought Harry's school book in a shop called Florist Plots where the shelf was stacked to the ceiling with books as large as paving stones, bound in leather, books the size of postage stamps, in covers of silk, books full of peculiar symbols, and a few books with nothing in them at all. Even Dudley, who never read anything, would have been wild to get his hands on some of these. Hagrid almost had to drag Harry away from courses and counter-courses. Bewitch your friends and befuddle your enemies with the latest revenge, hair loss, jelly labs, tongue tying, and much, much more by Professor Binder's Guardian. I was trying to find out how to curse Dudley. I'm not saying that not a good idea, but knew not to use magic in the middle world except in very special circumstances, said Harry. Anyway, you couldn't work any of them courses. Yet, you will need a lot more study before you get to that level. Hagrid wouldn't let Harry buy a solid gold cauldron either. Is that future on your list? But they got a nice set of scales for weighing potion ingredients and collapsible brass telescope. Then they visited a portrait which was fascinating enough to make up for its horrible smell, a mixture of bad egg, rotted cabbage, better just slimy stuff stood on the floor. Jars of herb, dried roots, and bright powder lined the wall. Bundles of feathers, strings of fangs, and snarled clothes hung from the ceiling. While Hagrid asked the man behind the counter for some of basic potion ingredients for Harry. Harry himself examined silver unicorn bone at 21 gallons each and minuscule, glittery back bitter eye 5 knots a scoop. Outside the apothecary, Hagrid checked Harry's list again. Just one left. Oh yeah, I still haven't gotten your birthday present. Harry felt himself go red. You don't have to. I know I don't have to. Tell you what, I'll get your animal, not a toad. Toads went out of fashion years ago. You'd be laughed at, and I don't like cats. They make me sneeze. I'll get your own. For the kids want owls. They are that useful. Carry your mail on everything. 20 minutes later, they left Ilo's Owl Emporium, which had been dark and full of rustling and flickering, jewel-bright eyes. Harry now carried a large cage that held a beautiful snowy owl, fast asleep with her head under her wing. He couldn't stop stammering his thanks, sounding just like Professor Potter. Don't mention it, said Hagrid gruffly. Don't expect you've had a lot of presents from them, Dursley. Just Ollivanders left now. Only place for one. Ollivanders, yeah, got to have the best one. A magic wand. This was what Harry had been really looking forward to. The last shop was narrow and shabby, peeling gold letters over the door. Read Ollivanders, makers fine wands since 382. For Christ's A single wand lay on a faded purple cushion in dusty window. A tinkling bell rang somewhere in the depths of the shop as they stepped inside. It was a tiny place, empty except for a single spindly chair that Hagrid sat on to wait. Harry felt strangely as though he had entered a very strict library. He swallowed a lot of new questions that had just occurred to him and looked instead at the thousands of narrow boxes piled neatly right up to the ceiling. For some reason, the back of his neck prickled. The very dust and silence in here seemed to tingle with some secret magic. Good afternoon, said a soft voice. Harry jumped. Hagrid must have jumped too, because there was a loud crunching noise, and he got quickly up the spindly chair. An old man was standing before them, his wide pale eyes shining like moon through the gloom of the shop. Hello, said Harry awkwardly. Oh, yes, said the man. Yes, I thought I'd seen you soon, Harry Potter. It wasn't a question. You have your mother's eye. It seemed only yesterday she was in here herself. Buy her first one. 10 of a quarter inch long, Swiss made of willow. Nice one for charm work. Mr. Ollivander moved closer to Harry. Harry wished he could blink. Those silvery eyes were a bit creepy. Your father, on the other hand, favored the mahogany one, 11 inches, pliable, a little more power and excellent for transfiguration. Well, I say your father favored it. It's really the one to choose the wizard, of course. Mr. Ollivander had come so close that and Harry was almost nose to nose. Harry could see himself reflected in those misty eyes. And that's where Mr. Ollivander touched the lightning scar on Harry's forehead with a long white finger. I'm sorry to say I saw the wonder that did it, he said softly. 13.5 inches, yeah. Powerful one, very powerful, and in the wrong hand. Well, if I'd known what that wand was going out in the it to the wall to do. He shook his head and then, to Harry's relief, spotted Hagrid. Luvius Hagrid, how nice to see you again! Oak 16 inches rather bendy, wasn't it? It was so, yes, said Hagrid. Good one, that one. But I suppose they snapped it in half when you got expelled, said Mr. Ollivander, suddenly stunned. Oh, yes, they did, yes, said Hagrid, shuffling his feet. I've still got the pieces, though, he added brightly. But you don't use them, said Mr. Ollivander sharply. Oh, no, sir, said Hagrid quickly. Harry noticed he gripped his pink umbrella very tight as he spoke. Said Mr. Ollivander, giving Hagrid a piercing look. Well, now, Mr. Potter, let me see. He pulled a long tape measure with silver marking out of his pocket. Which is your one arm? Oh, well, I'm right-handed, said Harry. Hold on your arm, that's it. He measured Harry from shoulder to finger, the wrist to elbow, shoulder to floor, knee to armpit, and round his head. As he measured, he said, Every Ollivander wand has a core of powerful magic substance, Mr. Potter. We use unicorn hairs, phoenix tail, feathers, and the heartstring of dragon. No two Ollivander wands are the same, just as no two unicorn dragons or phoenix are quite the same, and of course you will never get such good result with another wizard wand. Harry suddenly realized that the tape measure, which was measuring between his nostrils, was doing thing on its own. Mr. Ollivander was feeling around the shelf, taking down boxes. That will do, he said, the tape measure crumpling into a heap on the floor. Right then, Mr. Potter, try this one. Beech wood and dragon heartstring. 9 inches, nice flexible. Just take it and give it a wave. Harry took the wand and, feeling foolish, waved it around a bit, but Mr. Ollivander snatched it out of his hand almost at once. Maple and phoenix feather, 7 inches, quite whippy. Try. Harry tried, but he had hardly raised the wand when it too was snatched back by Mr. Ollivander. No, no, here, ebony and unicorn hair, 8.5 inches, bring me. Go on, try it out. Harry tried and tried. He had no idea what Mr. Ollivander was waiting for. The pile of try and wand was mounting higher than higher on the spindly chair. But the more wand Mr. Ollivander pulled from the shelf, the happier he seemed to become. Tricky customer. Not to worry. We'll find the perfect match here somewhere. I wonder now. Yes, why not? Unusual combination. Holly and phoenix feather, 11 inches, nice and supple. Harry took the wand. He felt a sudden warmth in his finger. He raised the wand above his head, brought it swishing down through the dusty air, and a stream of red gold sparks shot from the end like a firework, throwing dancing spots of light onto the wall. Hagrid whooped and clapped, and Mr. Ollivander cried, Oh, bravo! Yes, indeed! Oh, very good! Well! How curious! How very curious! He put Harry's wand back into its box and wrapped it brown paper, still muttering, Curious! Sorry, said Harry. But what's curious? Mr. Ollivander fixed Harry with his pale stare. I remember every one I've ever saw, Mr. Potter, every single one. It so happened that Phoenix, whose tail feather is in your wand, gave another feather, just one another. It is very curious indeed that you should be destined for this one, when its brother, why, its brother gave you that scar. Harry swallowed. Yes, 13.5 inches. Yeah, curious indeed. How did things happen? The one should the wizard remember. I think we must expect great things from you, Mr. Potter. After all, he who must not be named did great things. Terrible, yes, but great. Harry shivered. He wasn't sure he liked Mr. Ollivander too much. He paid 7 gold gallons for his one, and Mr. Ollivander bought them from his shop. The late afternoon sun hung low in the sky as Harry and Hagrid made their way back down Diagon Alley, back through the wall, back through the lectern, now empty. Harry didn't speak at all as they walked down the road. He didn't even notice how much people were gawking at them on the ground, laden as they were with all their funny-shaped packages, with a snowy owl asleep in its cage on Harry's lap. Up another escalator out into Paddington Station. Harry only realized where they were when Hagrid tapped him on the shoulder. "Got time for a bite to eat before your train leaves," he said. He bought Harry a hamburger and they sat down on plastic seats to eat them. Harry kept looking around. Everything looked so strange somehow. "You all right, Harry?" "You very quiet," said Hagrid. Harry wasn't sure he could explain. He just had the best birthday of his life, and yet he chewed his hamburger, trying to find the word. "Everyone thinks I'm special," he said at last. "All those people in the leaky cauldron, Professor Quirrell, Mr. Ollivander, but I don't know anything about magic at all. How can they expect great things? I'm famous, and I can't even remember what I'm famous for. I don't know what happened when the night my parents died." Hagrid leaned across the table. Behind the wild beard and eyebrows he wore a very kind smile. "Don't you worry, Harry. You will learn fast enough. Everyone starts at the beginning at Hogwarts. You will be just fine. Just be yourself. I know it's hard. You've been singled out, and that's always hard, but you will have a great time at Hogwarts. I did, still do. It's a matter of fact." Hagrid helped Harry onto the train that would take him back to the Dursley, then handed him an envelope. "Your ticket for Hogwarts," he said. "1st of September, King's Cross. It's all on your ticket. Any problem with the Dursley, send me a letter with your owl. She'll know where to find me. See you soon, Harry." The train pulled out of the station. Harry wanted to watch Hagrid until he was out of sight. He rose in his seat and pressed his nose against the window, but he blinked and Hagrid had gone. 네, 챕터 5 한번 읽어봤는데요. 챕터 5의 내용이 굉장히 분량이 길어요. 그 이유는 우리 JK 작가님께서 마법 세상, 그러니까 챕터 4에서는 우리 해리가 자신이 wizard, 마법사라는 걸 알게 됐고, 챕터 5에서는 마법학교, 호그와트 학교 입학을 위한 준비물을 사러 가는, 그래서 마법 세계로 쇼핑을 가는 그런 장면이 나와요. 그리고 마법사들만을 위한 은행까지 나오죠. 그러다 보니까 그 처음으로 마법 세계, 인간들의 세계가 아닌 마법 세계를 자세하게 묘사하기 위해서 굉장히 분량이 길어진 것 같아요. 네, 그래서 어려운 단어는 없는데 좀 생소한 그런 상상의 나래를 펼칠 수 있는 그런 장면들이 많이 나온 것 같아요. 해그리드와 이제 해리와의 관계가 굉장히 끈끈해진 것 같아요. 마지막 부분에 해리한테 해그리드가 굉장히 좋은 조언을 해주죠. 누구나 처음은 두렵고 어려울 수 있지만 너는 잘 해낼 거라는 그런 이야기를 해주죠. 그래서 해리는 해그리드가 사라지는 장면을 보기 위해서 기차 안에서 유리창에 막 코를 박고 해그리드가 사라지는 모습을 끝까지 바라봤다, 이런 장면으로 끝나는데요. 네, 챕터 5 정말 흥미진진하고 JK 작가님의 그 뛰어난 글솜씨를 다시 한번 확인하게 된 것 같아요. Thank you for listening. Catch you later. 네, 오늘도 함께 해주셔서 고맙습니다. 다음 시간 챕터 6로 돌아올게요. Bye bye. See you.